They were diving into some pretty serious accusations against Sean Diddy Combs. You may have seen this BBC News article that just dropped. It details 7 new civil lawsuits against him alleging sexual assault. And this all comes as Diddy is already facing federal charges for sex trafficking and racketeering.
Yeah, and what's really striking about this is that these new lawsuits come from 4 men and 3 women, and the accusations span years, so we're not talking about a few isolated incidents here.
Okay, so let's get into some of the details from these lawsuits. A lot of the accusers are saying that their drinks were drugged at parties. They're reporting dizziness, nausea, even feeling out of body.
Oh, no, and
On
then
the-
the accusations get much darker.
Yeah, several of the lawsuits go on to describe, pretty horrific assaults, rape, forced oral sex, aggressive groping. And I think it's crucial to remember Diddy's position in the music industry. He's a powerful figure, and that power dynamic can really make it difficult for people to come forward with these kinds of accusations. Absolutely, and the BBC article actually highlights a case with one of the plaintiffs who was only 13 years old at the time of the alleged assault.
Yeah, that case is particularly disturbing. The lawsuit alleges that Diddy, along with another unnamed male celebrity, raped this young girl at an after-party for the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards.
Wow, it's hard to even imagine. Another case that really stuck out to me was the one from the independent musician. She says she was drugged and raped at a party, and she woke up with rope marks on her arms.
Yeah, that detail is chilling. It suggests a level of violence that goes beyond just an opportunistic encounter.
Then you have the case of the personal trainer. He says he was assaulted at a party at Diddy's Hollywood Hills home. And what makes his account even more disturbing is that he claims he saw high-profile celebrities engaging in group sexual activity before he was assaulted.
Yeah, if that's true. Then it raises the question of whether this behavior was normalized or even encouraged within Diddy's inner circle. It starts to feel less like isolated incidents and more like a potential pattern of abuse.
Yeah, for sure. And it's important to remember that this BBC article isn't an isolated thing. Remember that lawyer who recently said they have over 100 clients planning to sue Diddy with similar allegations?
Oh, yeah, that's right. This could be just the tip of the iceberg. We could be looking at a massive wave of accusations here.
Exactly. And to fully understand just how serious this all is, we have to consider the federal charges that Diddy is already facing. Because those charges allege that Diddy was actually leading a criminal enterprise, one that systematically abused women. We're talking about potential kidnapping, forced labor, even bribery.
Yeah, these are incredibly serious accusations, way beyond what you typically see in a celebrity scandal. If he's convicted on these federal charges alone, Diddy could be facing life in prison.
It's crazy to think about how someone can go from this image of a successful entrepreneur, a music mogul, the ultimate party host,
Yeah.
to facing accusations this serious.
It really is a paradox. It makes you think about the dark side of fame and fortune, and how power can be used to silence victims.
And that brings us to the legal situation. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges, both the federal ones and those from the civil suits. He's currently in jail. He was even denied bail. And his trial for the federal charges is set for May 2025.
It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I mean, regardless of the outcome of the trial, Diddy's reputation has already taken a major hit, even if he's found not guilty. Just the sheer volume of these allegations is going to cast a shadow over his legacy.
I agree, and it really makes you wonder, how much did society, especially the media, turn a blind eye to all the rumors and whispers about Diddy, just because he was such a huge celebrity?
Yeah, that's a good question. Did we as a culture create an environment where powerful figures get a pass on behavior that wouldn't be tolerated from anyone else?
It's a tough question to ask, but this case is forcing us to confront it. It feels like we're seeing a potential shift in how we view celebrity and the idea of accountability.
I think you're right. This case could have ripple effects far beyond Diddy himself. It's a wake-up call for all of us to think critically about power dynamics and how they can be exploited. And, it also highlights the courage it takes for victims to come forward, especially when they're going up against someone with immense wealth and influence like Diddy.
Absolutely. So if we try to sum up this incredibly complex situation, we have multiple individuals, men and women, alleging sexual assault over an extended period. And these allegations come on top of serious federal charges that paint a very dark picture. And it feels like we're witnessing a turning point, not just in Diddy's career, but in how we view these kinds of accusations against powerful people.
I think that's a good point. This case goes way beyond just Diddy. It's about holding powerful people accountable and creating a culture where victims feel safe coming forward.
Exactly. And this deep dive is really just scratching the surface of this incredibly complex issue. But it does make you wonder, even if Diddy is found not guilty on all these charges, can his legacy ever truly recover?
That's the big question, isn't it? I mean, the sheer volume of these allegations and the severity of the accusations, they're bound to have a lasting impact. This case could very well become a turning point. It could force us to reevaluate how we perceive celebrity and the systems that often protect powerful figures from facing real consequences.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. And we encourage everyone listening to continue exploring this case as more information comes out. Form your own opinions. Ask the tough questions. And remember, speaking out against wrongdoing is never wrong.
I totally agree. This deep dive has been about much more than just one man's alleged actions. It's a call to action for all of us to be more aware, more critical, and more vocal in demanding justice and accountability.
Well said. This has been a heavy but crucial deep dive. We hope it's given you some new insights and maybe even sparked some important conversations in your own life. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.
Yeah, and it's not even just about the lawsuits. There's that lawyer who recently said they have over 100 clients planning to sue Diddy for similar allegations.
Right, it's not just a few lawsuits. We're talking about potentially a huge wave of accusations. And to really understand how serious all of this is, you have to consider the federal charges that Diddy is already facing.
Yeah, because these aren't your, typical celebrity scandal.
Right, because these charges allege that Diddy was leading a criminal enterprise, one that systematically abused women.
Exactly.
So we're talking about potential kidnapping, forced labor, even bribery.
And these are accusations that go way beyond, what we usually see with celebrities. If convicted on the federal charges alone, Diddy could be facing life in prison.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
Like, how does someone go from being a successful entrepreneur, a music mogul, the ultimate party host, to facing accusations this serious?
That's the thing about fame and fortune, right? Like,
Yeah,
it can hide a really dark side, and power can be used to silence victims.
Totally. And so that brings us to the current legal situation.
Yeah.
Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges, both the federal ones and those from the civil suits. He's currently in jail. He was denied bail, and his trial for the federal charges is set for May 2025.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what happens at the trial, Diddy's reputation has already taken a major hit. Even if he's found not guilty, just the number of allegations against him will cast a shadow over his legacy.
Yeah, no doubt. And it makes you wonder how much society, especially the media, turned a blind eye to the rumors about Diddy just because of his celebrity status.
Yeah. Did we create a culture where powerful people get a pass on behavior that wouldn't be tolerated from anyone else?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this case is making us face it.
Absolutely.
It feels like we're seeing a change in how we view celebrity and the idea of holding people accountable for their actions.
I think you're right. This case could have ripple effects far beyond Diddy himself. It's a wake-up call to all of us to think about power dynamics and how they can be manipulated. And it shows just how much courage it takes for victims to come forward, especially when they're accusing someone with a lot of wealth and influence.
For sure. So to sum up, we have multiple people, men and women, alleging sexual assault that happened over many years. And on top of that are the serious federal charges, which paint a very disturbing picture. It really feels like a turning point, not just for Diddy's career, but in how we as a society see these kinds of accusations against people in power.
I think the important thing here is to recognize that this case, no matter the legal outcome, starts a much bigger conversation. How do we make sure that powerful people are held accountable for their actions? And how do we as a society create a safe space for victims so they feel comfortable coming forward?
Yeah, you're right. This deep dive is just scratching the surface of a very complicated issue. But it brings up the question, even if Diddy is found not guilty on all the charges, will his legacy ever truly recover?
That's a good question, because just the number of allegations and how serious they are, that's going to have a lasting impact. This case could be a real turning point. It could change how we view celebrities and change the systems that protect powerful figures from consequences.
It's a lot to think about, and we encourage all of you to keep looking into this case and learn more as information comes out. Form your own opinions. Ask the tough questions. And remember, speaking out against wrongdoing is never the wrong thing to do.
Right. This deep dive was about more than just one man's alleged actions.